Hello, friends. I am so excited to be here with you and Dr. Jill Carnaham. And it would take too much time to introduce her properly, but this is who Dr. Jill Carnaham is. She is a doctor, a survivor, and a healer.
Mm.
Dr. Carnaham is an expert in functional medicine, which is a medicine that looks at the root of disease. It's a medicine that doesn't look just in treating symptoms, but is a medicine that looks at us as a whole system, as a holistic entity. So Dr. Jill is part of the board of the Integrated Holistic Medicine. She's certified by the Institute of Functional Medicine and part of the American Board of Integrated Medicine. And if you want to learn more about her, I will give you a link of her website and you can learn tons about her. But the reason I brought Dr. Jill Carnaham here to my video, to my audience, is because you know well that my mission is to end chronic stress. Because stress can serve us. Stress can give us energy. Stress help us to thrive. But also we know well that stress can cause disharmony, disease, unhappiness, and a lot of struggles. So I brought here the expert of the expert to help you shine the light on some of the issues you might be dealing with stress, and she can help you. The reason I say Dr. Jill is a survivor is that at only 25 years old, Dr. Jill had a very aggressive breast cancer. In a group of 12 women, she was the only survivor in that group, and there is a reason why she survived. And she's a healer because she's helping so many people to uncover mysterious conditions, autoimmune conditions that a lot of doctors are not able to help them. And she's the one. Anyway, I can go on and on. Let's get some content here. So help me to welcome Dr. Jill.
Thank you, Alex. I'm just delighted to be here. I love your work and I love talking about stress because we all have it.
Sure we do. So I'm going to dive right into the questions because, again, we want to really help our audience. So I would love for you to share with our listeners. Our listeners are most busy, high achievers, passionate people about their work. They entrepreneurs, the realtors, their mothers, their fathers. And a lot of them are dealing with a lot of overwhelm, anxiety, and just feeling stressed out. So in your own experience, what can they start doing so they don't become a victim of stress and they can use the stress to thrive in life instead of having stress make them sick?
Yes, and this topic, gosh, we all hear about it, we know about it, and then we start to feel guilty because we're not doing all the things that we should. So the last thing I want to do is create more guilt. I want to empower you. I want to give you tools, and I want to share little pieces of my own journey because I'm no different than you. Alex mentioned my bout with breast cancer at 25, and I was a third-year medical student, kind of in the prime of my life, pursuing my dream of becoming a physician. And interestingly enough, if I look back, and this is common to many cancer survivors, the year prior to my diagnosis was probably one of the most stressful years of my life. Now, it was good stress. I loved learning. I was on rotations in medical school, but I was pulling 36-hour shifts, sometimes with no sleep at all, and incredible, crazy hours, not a great diet, even though I tried. At that time, I was a vegetarian, but I didn't know what I was doing. And so I look back, I was basically a carbitarian, a very, very unhealthy vegetarian. And I always joke it almost killed me. Now, I still tend towards a more plant-based diet and think most of us should, but what I wasn't doing at that time was getting the appropriate nutrient-dense foods. So all that to say, the stress, I really believe, is a big unifying factor in my life and my illness and overcoming all these things. And not that I have it all together, but some really practical things. Those of you out there that are especially mothers and healers and people in the entrepreneurial world and realtors, and you are juggling a lot of balls like I did. You're juggling career, you're juggling family, maybe you're juggling maybe pets or older parents who are getting ill. You might be juggling the kids' schedule. And you're juggling a lot of different hats that you wear. And one of the things I found that most people who get ill from stress, you know, stress can be eustress, which is actually beneficial. I find if I have a deadline and there's a stress of a oncoming project that's due in 24 hours, I actually get a lot more done. So stress can be productive and can be good. However, when we're carrying all these balls and wearing all these hats and doing all these things, the key here is we have to take care of ourselves. And it feels, at least for me, it felt selfish because I was a giver. I love to help people. I'd much rather give than receive. And this nature of these people are the ones that go down with stress. And again, I'm one of those. So what we really have to do is create time and space. And it depends on your circadian rhythm. For me, it was always in the morning, some quiet time with prayer, meditation, a walk with my dogs, something that's very grounding to start your day. Because if you get that first hour of your day right, the rest of the day will flow much more smoothly. If you jump out of bed, you've missed your alarm, you're running late, and you forget your breakfast, you have set yourself up for failure that day and for lots of stress. So really creating a morning sanctuary, morning space. And it might be reading, it might be walking, it might be an intense exercise. It could be whatever for you is the right morning routine, but your morning routine will set the tone for the day, and so will your morning fuel. Now, some of you are doing ketogenic or intermittent fasting, and your fuel might just be coffee or tea and not a meal, and that's okay too. But whatever your pattern is, you need to start your day with the best type of fuel, mind, body, and spirit for your body. And that will set your day and your tone for stress. The other thing I find is our expectations are what causes stress. So if we expect we're going to be somewhere on time and we hit traffic, or we expect that we're going to get out of the house this morning, I was supposed to be here a little bit earlier and my dog had an accident, I had to clean up on the floor, and I wasn't expecting that. But what I found is God's timing is always perfect. And that's something I say to myself, and maybe you'd believe in some other divine being or a purpose, but the idea that everything happens for a reason, that will actually help you so much in stress. Because when I'm in traffic, I just think, okay, well, I get an opportunity to hear an audiobook or listen to a podcast that I wouldn't have gotten a chance to do. So we have to really let go of those expectations and know that we're exactly where we're supposed to be. I've often even thought in terms of life and death, this seriously. I know that I'm not going to die one day, 1 second, 1 moment before I'm supposed to. I have a destiny and a time and a purpose. That way, I don't fear death. I don't fear illness. I don't fear the things that come, because my destiny, my purpose, my lifeline, I really feel is orchestrated for my best interest by the universe, by God. And because of that, I can really release expectations day to day. It's the expectations, the deadlines, the things that we create for ourselves of what should be. That is what creates stress. And when we let go of that expectation, we find that there's just a flow to life, and there's a lot more ease and a lot less stress.
Wow. And like, I think in 5 minutes, you covered so much. You covered the aspect of emotional, physical, spiritual, and mental stress. You summarized my coaching, the work I do here with my clients. So I hope all the listeners are paying attention and rewind and listen to what Dr. Jill had to say. And yes, she experienced a lot of stress. I forgot to say in the beginning that right after her treating a very aggressive cancer, Dr. Jill was then diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, which is called Crohn's disease, which is basically autoimmune disease that attacks the lining of the gut. And even though she had many doctors telling her that she needed many surgeries in order to correct that problem, I love that she refused to accept the diagnosis. And she dove into treating herself holistically with nutrition, with prayer, with meditation, because again, we are a holistic system. And she's in perfect health today, kicking, alive and kicking, healthy, more energized than ever. So again, she's an example. That's why I respect her so much, because she walks the talk. So now, after that amazing sharing that you just gave us, tell our audience, what are some signs that they need to be watching for chronic stress? Because what I have found, a lot of us are in denial sometimes that we're in chronic stress, because we have this crazy mind, or this beautiful mind, that can lie to us and tell us that we are positive, we're happy all the way. And in this culture, we push ourselves to be always happy and always positive. And I have found that that can suppress a lot of emotions in the body and can hide those clear signs of chronic stress. So in your experience, what are the signs that most people need to be watching, that, and then they need to make some change in their life?
Oh, I love this question, because it took me basically the first 40 years of my life. I was living from the neck up. I was living in my head and really not in touch with my body and not in touch with my somatic experiencing and feeling. Now, I think I've done a lot of work, meaning like emotional therapeutic and those kinds of things. And so I'm starting to really understand, and I'm still growing and learning with all of you. But one of the things I learned is that for survival, what I did is I went to that, you said happy, optimistic. I'm always optimistic, always looking at the glass half full. So I had this idea that, oh, I'm going to overcome. I was, went through cancer, went through Crohn's disease, went through divorce, went through lots of traumatic things. And every time I was like, you know what, I'm going to overcome this. This will be great. There's a book I read that I love called The Obstacle is the Way, meaning the obstacle, the thing we think is hindering us, is actually the way through to growth and great life experiences.
That's what is in my coin. Obstacle is the way.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Yes, I love it.
It's an amazing book by
yes.
Holiday.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's one of my favorites. Favorite, because that's how I live life. But the caution is, I'm just confessing to you, because what happened is I kind of dissociated from my feelings, and I did not allow myself to feel grief or sadness or anger. Like I would have told you up until 40 that I don't ever get angry. I don't have anger. I don't even experience it. Well, duh, we all do, right? We all have that emotion, and I just denied it and suppressed it. And the same with sadness and grief. I might have gone through very little minimal times of that, but when I went through cancer, went through divorce, some of these things that are very real, a loss of a friend, I did not grieve. I'm not to the extent that a human being should grieve. So as I've done the work in the past several years, what happens is I've opened up the ability to get in touch with my body and say, oh, I'm sad. And then I'll let myself be sad for a few hours, and then I'll pass through and I'll be fine. And to have that compassion to yourself, to actually feel the full range of emotions and not to shut one off because it's not acceptable. Again, in my family growing up, it wasn't acceptable for me to be sad. I had to be cheerful. And then also it wasn't acceptable to be angry as a woman. So these are things that were new to me. And I'm saying that because you ask about stress and how to tune into your body. Many of you are living from the neck up, and you're living in your head very cerebrally, and you're overcoming, or you're working, or you're pushing through. But in order to really combat stress, you have to think about somatic experiencing. And all that means is you're just getting in touch, sitting still for a moment. Sometimes I'll just sit in. I've worked with a trainer recently, and like you, and what she'll do is say, how are you feeling? And for a second, I don't know. But what I'll do is I'll tune in to my body, and I'll say, well, my SI joint on the right is a little sore. And that tuning into your body is how you're going to know stress. Because if you are just going, you're going to have stress. Your body will tell you signals, but you will ignore them and not notice them. Things that you might notice if you're not sleeping. That's a pretty good sign that your cortisol is high, or there's some inflammation or infection or something creating a problem so that you are not sleeping, and that's a stress indicator. Another one is racy heart, palpitations, anything with your heart. That's often, of course, you could have a heart issue that needs diagnosis and treatment, but stress often manifests in the gut and the heart, so you feel palpitations. That pit in your stomach that you might ignore, you might not even notice it anymore because you felt it for so long. And it can be from either fear or anxiety. Those are signs of stress as well. If you're having chronic pain, that could be a sign of stress, that you're not taking care of your body and not resting. Our bodies are so wise. And what I've experienced in my life with healing, our body knows how to heal. We just have to give it the ability, the nutrients, the things. It's like watering the soil for a garden to grow, and it has all the right tools. We just have to figure out what it needs. And again, many of us, to overcome and survive and do our work and take care of our families and all the things we need to do, we suppress these signals. And so you listening might not even be aware. You're like, I'm fine. I'm just great. But the truth is, if you tune into your body, you may actually notice some of these signals. And again, pit in the stomach is common. Maybe chronic pain or headaches, lack of sleep or trouble falling asleep or waking up early when your mind's racing. And then the heart can be a big one too. So you might feel palpitations, lump in the throat. That's another one we kind of ignore, and we think, oh, this is just anxiety for speaking or whatever. But a lot of us will get a lump in our throat when there's a lot of stress and too much to do.
I love it. And again, I hope you're there listening, you are making notes, and you have access to me anytime that if you have questions about what Dr. Jill just shared with you, I'll be here to support you in this journey. So Dr. Jill, I know you have a waiting list of years now, 3 years for new patients. Is that correct?
3 to 5, yes.
5 years. So most people don't have access to an expert like yourself. So if somebody is watching this video right now and they are telling themselves, wow, that's me, I need help, I am drowning in stress, what would you advise them to do at first, besides the fundamentals, right? Nutrition, meditation, sleep, get in touch with emotions, and they need a guide. Yes, they can call me. That's
yes.
What other recommendations would you give them of like a place to start?
Yeah, and so first I do want to give a plug for you, Alex, and Alex did not ask me to do this, but someone like Alex or Alex herself is a great place. You often do need someone. I'm a professional, successful practice. I travel the world teaching doctors, and I hire people to help me. I hire executive coaches, I hire personal coaches, I hire personal assistants, I hire therapists. I mean, I have a slew and a team of people that help me and help me see what I don't see. And what I've always said is I want to live awake. And because I want to live awake, I can't see my own blind spots. But I'm always, my journey, my life purpose is to live awake and teach people what I learned by my journey and my experiences. So for some reason, God has destined me to experience things sometimes really painful for the sake of learning and growing and teaching others. That is my purpose. And because of that, I need people to see the blind spots that I don't see. So the first thing is, it might be a friend. You don't always have to pay someone, but you want someone in your life that can see the things that you don't see and that you can hear, that can speak truth in kindness. I have a couple friends like that too. And everyone I hire is like that. I say, I want you to speak truth, because even if it's hard for me to hear, I need to hear things that I don't see or know. So that's important. The second thing is, she said sleep and diet, all those are givens, but I really think the most powerful thing is learning the word no. And again, I'm talking from personal experience.
Yes.
I love to help say yes. And I always get so excited. Can you speak here? Can you do this? And I'm like, yeah, that sounds amazing. And then the reality hits of what my schedule looks like. It all looks great on paper. And then physically I realize I'm exhausted and I just want to hike in the mountains with my puppies this weekend or whatever. So this is a journey I'm on because it's hard for me to say no. And I'm learning, but I'm learning that when I say no to something, I'm saying yes to something else. So if you have a hard time with the word no, part of this is learning the fact that you might be saying yes to a good friend, your spouse, your family, something you love to do like ski or hike or be outdoors. But you're always, when you say no, you're actually saying yes to something else. And when you say yes to a request, not that you can't do that, but you have to weigh the cost, because there is a cost. It's not just a free yes. When you say yes to helping someone or doing something, these are all wonderful things. But if you're overextended, you have to learn the word no, because you can't come into the world and do what you were created to do if you don't create space and margin. And the biggest cause of stress in a nutshell is loss of margin. So we have this like little bit of leeway that we have a little free time or a little extra. I just call it margin. And when we start to lose the margin, and I'm very guilty of this at times, we start to really feel stressed because there's no give if we miss an appointment or we have to reschedule or we get tired or we want to just have some free time. So saying no, huge, and creating margin, and those two go together.
I love that. You just brought up a point that, even though I didn't have this question in my notes, I want to ask you,
Yeah.
because a lot of, especially women, would relate to this. I work with a lot of women that literally share with me, they high achievers, they, like you said, they're juggling with a lot, and they feel guilty if they take the time to take care of themselves. And my message is always like, to be the best version of themselves, they must take care of themselves first. They want to be the best mother, they want to be the best partner, the best spouse, the best leader. And there's no other way to be the best version of ourselves without putting ourselves first. So what would you say to these women who are experience so much guilt when they take the time for themselves?
Yeah, so there's something called conditioning, and we're all born into families and environments and circumstances and generational patterns. I had some very dysfunctional generational patterns that I've finally seen and said, you know what? I get to choose. I don't want to be the same as this same pattern that was there. And some of that was the shoulds and the musts. Those words are always a sign. If you want to just put those as should, must, those are trigger words that mean that you're probably feeling guilty, because we should joyfully do something out of service and love and not out of a should or must. So that's another thing. When you're deciding yes or no, you can check in and say, am I feeling obligation? That's the word for should and must. Am I feeling obligation? And if it's obligation, yeah, we maybe make commitments, we sign a contract. There's certain obligations that we have to fulfill. But obligation, just pure doing something out of obligation, is usually not the best place to be. And we might have an obligation like a commitment to a marriage or a commitment to our children, where we actually choose to still fulfill that obligation. That's where we want to come out of, as a place of choice that we willingly, lovingly, kindly, it has to come from love. If it comes from pure obligation, it won't work and it'll cause stress. But those patterns that we have are conditioning, and we're conditioned in our childhood to be a certain way. Women are subservient perhaps, or women are, and again, this is just my family speaking, or women are always serving and always giving and never taking time for themselves. That's selfish. these are again some of the patterns I've experienced, those things are not true. And we have to re-examine the lies or the conditioning that we've been told and reevaluate what really are we created to do. I've recently learned with, again, some deep introspection, that I have a ton of open centers, which means I'm really open to intuitive information, reading people really deeply and all of that. So that's a gift that many of us have. But on the other side of that comes the energetic conditioning of other people. So I'm very susceptible to being drained by other people's energy and being affected by their opinions, their ideas. So if you're open and if you're really empathetic, these types of people, you're going to be not only open and empathetic, it's a gift, but on the other side of it is your weakness. You have to protect yourself. You have to maybe retreat or have some time to yourself or just take care of yourself. Not everybody's like that, but if you are, that's really, really critical.
Wow. So much wisdom here. My heart is like expanded. So there's so much heart connection here because I can truly feel you speaking from your heart and speaking about energy, how we connect to each other. I literally feel my chest expanding right now. And I want to respect your time. I know we're coming to an end. And what this was beyond what I expected. You took to a level that I was hoping we would. And I didn't even need to ask you to go there. You went to the higher level of like, understand that we're so much more than a physical body. Yes. That we have so much power to heal, that we can use this data about stress that says that 90 to 95% of chronic illnesses and diseases are created or exacerbated by stress. Am I correct with this number?
Yes.
So once I learned numbers like that, I realized we have a duty, we have a responsibility to teach people not to become a statistic, because if only 5 to 10% of illnesses and diseases are genetic,
yes,
I look at that number, it's like, oh my God, we have so much power beyond our understanding. So bringing you into this interview and joining forces with you, it's just, it makes my heart, again, it's so happy and expanded, because I want more people to have access to this type of information so they can heal themselves. They can claim their health back and not just put all in the hands of another human being, another doctor. And
the responsibility. Yeah.
Nobody knows their body better than themselves. And all they need to do is to really create a connection with the heart, with the divine, that some people might call God, some people call the universe, the angels, the universal field, the quantum field. So we know so much more about this energy field, again, that we call God, that can help us so much. So thank you so much. I hope we can have this chat again and go even deeper in the powers of healing, because we know, well, the world needs more healing, more light, more health, more happiness. So I am so honored to have you here, Dr. Jill. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex. I feel the same. I love your heart. I love what you're doing. I love you. It's just a joy every time we talk. So thank you for what you're doing. And the thing I just want to leave your listeners with is, you may look at Alex or I, who have successful careers and doing this and doing that. And people always look at, how do you do all this, Jill? And, I'm in the journey with you. And I think you look at whether it's famous people or people who are doing things, or your colleagues or your friends, and you might look at them. And now with social media, things are made out to be so much better than they really are, in the sense of we're all in the journey. I'm learning and struggling just like you are. And I don't have it any more figured out. I just really want to figure it out. So I just want to leave you with that, because you might look at us, or anyone around you that seems to have it all together. And the truth is, none of us do. And when we realize that we're all in this together, it really makes it okay to have a rough day, or have a day when you have stress, or because I have those too. So I just want to leave you with that. And thanks so much for your
how can people find you?
Yeah, so my website, tons of free resources on stress and on conditions and everything. And it's just my name, Jill Carnahan, JillCarnahan.com. So
and
please
I'll leave the link below. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex. Have a great day.
Blessings.
Bless you. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Wow, friends. How did you like that? I hope you know the gift that you, me, just received. Because again, to get a Dr. Jill's schedule. It takes about 3 to 5 years now. So the fact that she made 20, 25 minutes for us to share this message, to allow me to interview her and to share this message with you, I hope you really take this as a beautiful gift and save this video, watch it again. There's so much wisdom there. And of course, in my work with my clients is where I break down everything that she just discussed. Dr. Jill was able to summarize my 4 months, 5, 6 months coaching into a 20-minute talk. And it was amazing to have her reinforcing all the values, the beliefs that I have when it comes to empowerment, when it comes to how much wisdom our body has, how much power we have to influence how we feel, from our thoughts to our words to the food we put in our bodies. We influence everything that we do, influences every single cell, every single system in our bodies. And let's not forget that we have the physical body where you touch, but we have this energetic body, this spirit, the mind that generates this emotional state. So I hope you enjoy. Leave your feedback. I'm going to put some notes under this video, some of her nuggets, her major nuggets of wisdom that I made notes here. And I'm also going to put the link on her website so you can start receiving her newsletter. She shares recipes. She shares strategies about stress. She shares a lot on the topic of gut health, which has everything to do with your brain health as well. So start following the work of Dr. Jill. And if you like this, please share on your social media, share this message because it's so important. Help me to end chronic stress because it's hurting so many people. So help me in this mission. So much blessing. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. And if you love this content, don't forget to join my private Facebook page, which is where all this content is going to start to be from August 1st of 2019 on. So many blessings to you. Thank you so much.